McClung, Archer Monologues, where I talk and you don't, because that's what a monologue is. All right. Excuse me. Got it in the throat. All right. From the Little Book of Stupid Shit. Forthcoming. You'll find it on Amazon and other outlets. Available on ebook. And probably, well, most likely, you'll also find it on my e-store on my website. I'm not suggesting you'll see that this year, possibly next year. Let's hope. Item 1. In no particular order. Calling the flag, the red, white, and blue, the thing, with the stripes and the stars on it, calling that the American flag. Now, I can appreciate the sentiment. I can appreciate the fact that people have some sort of symbol representing what they think is their country, what they think of as their country. And that's fine. But words mean what they mean. So if you're going to talk about the American flag, you might want to think about something else, some other detail that kind of detracts from that phrase, American flag. So let's put it this way. The American flag does not exist. To my knowledge, there is no such thing. Legally speaking, it's the United States government's Union flag. What do I mean by that? Well, way back in the beginning, when they said, hey, we need a flag. Now, I suppose back in the old days, as is today, I suppose, there was a need for a flag to represent the country. I guess every country on the planet at every point in time has had a flag of some sort. It's a symbol representing a country. However, it mostly represented a king, his kingdom, and the realm. However, when you get into the United States of America, you find that you have a different form of government here. And every American claims that they understand that we have a rather unique setup here, where, individual human rights are respected. Ha ha, like that's true. But in premise, that was the idea, and, not really. So anyway, the point is, it's the United States government's Union flag. It represents the Union of American States. Now, I don't want to elaborate on this too much here, though I will in the book. The idea of, back in those days, they said, we need a representative flag to represent, our new government. Whoops. Uh-oh. There it is, right there. We need a flag to represent this new country. Not really a new country, was it? America has been around for a long time. It was around a long time before the United States government was created. So when was that? 1789, when they finally got that all straightened out and on the ball? Well, white folks came here in the late 1400s, and then they were here at 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. All right, 300 years? Let me count that again. 1492, when they claim it was discovered by the white guy from, that guy, the Italian fella. All right, so 1492, so let's just round that up to 1500. So we had the 1500s, the 1600s, and the 1700s. It's almost 300 years. And then they decided to have a little, shebang about the thing with England, Great Britain, England, whatever. And, and say, you guys just fuck off. We're going to have our own government here. Because the country existed. Now, when I say America, I mean, technically speaking, it was a landmass. And there were certain areas that were considered a part of that little conglomerate. And at that point, 13 states. They like to call them nation states. At any rate, they got together, these 13 colonies, whatever, and decided we're going to have a new form of government in this area, this landmass. Which, by the way, like I said, 13, not 50. All of that stuff out there was not a part of the whole equation. Particularly Alaska and Hawaii. Nothing to do with that. I don't even think, my observation would be that none of those founding fathers, as they call them, had any clue that there would be a state called California or Washington State or Oklahoma or Hawaii or Alaska. Oh, by the way, Hawaii was stolen from the people, and I personally don't even recognize Hawaii as a state in the United States because, the Hawaiian people got robbed of their country, and, well, we won't get into that, but kind of screwed up everything for those people. Anyway, typical for what Americans did to native or indigenous peoples. Anyway, so they got together back in the 1700s, late 1700s, and we need a flag for this new union. And if you look at the history and the records, the documents, you'll find that they actually said something to that effect. We need a flag to represent the new union. And if we continue that sentence, of American states. I understand that Mexico was a state, but it didn't have a union. There was no union tying it to any other country or any other nation state, as it were. So anyway, they wanted to have a flag to represent the union that they had formed with the 13 colonies, 13 nation states became the United States of America. So even calling something America, calling the country America is kind of incorrect. I won't get into that too much. So 13 colonies formed themselves into, or defined themselves as nation states, and they joined a larger union, a larger entity, and they called it the United States, those 13, United 13 States of America, let's say, of America, by the way. So technically the United States is the name of the country. but more accurately, the name of the government. America is the landmass. The United States of America is the specific entities within that mass. Doesn't include Canada, doesn't include Cuba, doesn't include Mexico. Just the people in the areas, the entities of the colonies that became nation states that joined together into a union. Now, I don't want to get into this, what is a union? You know what a union is. It's when everybody kind of joins together to become united into one entity. A larger entity than the individual entities. And the definition of the United States of America would be the result. And so it's not the American flag. You can check this out. You can look it up. I'm sure it's on the internet. Google or whatever search engine you use, and you'll find that they decided they wanted to have a flag to represent this new union and this new form of government that defines that union. And bear in mind, the local governments, the local colonies, still retain their government. Like, Virginia government, Pennsylvania government, so forth. So we have a government over a government. Or in addition, lots of little governments came together to be join a larger entity called the United States in the form of governments. So the flag itself was created to represent the union of these 13 nation states. So it's not the American flag. It wasn't intended to be the American flag. It was, in fact, a flag representing the Union. So when you want to talk about the flag, let's call it what it is. Let's not be ignorant and use the wrong word to describe it. It's the government's Union flag. It's what it is. It's what it's always been. Simple as that. So you want to go around saying American flag, American flag, American flag, you're wrong. And it shows that you're ignorant of history of America. And I can't imagine anybody going through high school in America and not knowing this. I'm pretty sure they talked about it in history class. I remember it, and that's been many years ago. Almost 60 years ago. Yeah, in school. Because they actually taught history in school. Now, it wasn't accurate, it wasn't complete, and it wasn't totally honest. But some things were there, and besides that, the library had lots of books, and I went to the library a lot. And I read on my own. So there you go. There you have it. It's the United States government Union flag. Now, here's the thing. People are going to argue with me on this. They always have. They always will, I suppose. The fact of the matter is, I just told you a bit of history. Factual history. Documented, true, real fact. It's the United States government Union flag. It represents the government. So when you're saying, okay, let's think of an example here. Scenario. I pledge allegiance to the flag. You're pledging allegiance to the government. More accurately, the Union. makes up the government. I've never done that. I might have done it a time or two when I was in grade school, like first, second grade. And I said, wait a minute, what? And I was like a kid. I mean, what did I know? I didn't have any education as far as government stuff is concerned. I didn't have any clue what was going on. I knew there was an election coming up and there was a guy in the office, president, named Ike. And I remember the slogan, I like Ike. I remember that clearly, as if it was yesterday. And there was a guy named Truman, and he was such a kind of a blowhard. He was a dick. But, even then I kind of said, kind of like him. And then, of course, as I got older and I studied more and I learned more about history, current history, like 40s and 50s and stuff, I realized this guy dropped freaking nuclear, atom bombs on freaking 2 towns in Japan. Like, what the fuck? Seriously? And I'm supposed to like this guy? This guy just murdered, like, lots of people. And then I learned some more on it, but it wasn't necessary. And then I learned some more, and I realized it was not only not necessary, it was just a crime against humanity. But unfortunately, you can't, well, maybe fortunately, depending on the way you look at it, but you can't really charge Truman with the crimes against humanity and all the people in the military that actually took part in that crime against humanity, or war crime, as it were, because they're dead. And but you think with all of these things going around, like, oh, let's tear down the statues of all the people, like Robert E. Lee and all them, just, well, you think there's a statue of Truman around somewhere? You think they're going to take his statue down? I would hope, if you're going to be doing that. I mean, I'm not in favor of that because I'm an artist and a sculptor, and I like sculpture, whatever it may be. And if it's a Robert E. Lee or Andrew Jackson or George Washington or anybody, let's keep the statues around somewhere. I mean, they may not have to be sitting out in front of the Capitol building, but put them in a museum at least. Don't destroy them. It's sacrilegious, in my opinion, since I'm a sculptor. So anyway, American flag, not the right way to say that. Now, if you think you're a patriot, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but if you think you're a patriot and you have a problem calling the flag the Union flag, and you want to say it's the American flag, you're just showing your ignorance. And you're allowing yourself to be duped into believing that it is the American flag when history tells me, and should tell you, that it's not. It has nothing to do with. There's no such thing as an American flag. And if you want to look at it in another way, let's look at some other flag just real quick. Let's say, is there a flag representing, well, West Virginia has a flag. All the states have a flag. Yeah. So West Virginia has a flag, and it's a symbol of what? The West Virginia government. Because it originated from the same principle. We're a government here, and we need a flag to represent the area that we govern. But it represents the government. Because the West Virginians at the time didn't say, hey, we need a flag. The government did that. Just like the federal government did when it created the Union flag. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a flag representing the government of a country. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I'm not putting down America. I'm not trying to, denigrate the patriots or patriotism of someone who likes their country. And I'm not going to get into that here at this point, but that might be item 2. But the thing is, you should be accurate. You should show a little bit more education when you're talking about things like the flag. And, oh, burning the American flag. No, 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 no. That's just bullshit. Burning the Union flag, and you know damn well the intention here is to demonstrate their disgust with the government. They're not burning the American flag. They're not showing disrespect to America. They're showing disrespect for a government. And everybody in this country at this point has some opinion about the government. Most of it is not favorable. Is it? You know what I'm talking about. Government's trying to take away our rights. Trouble. Government's doing this and doing that and doing bad things and doing all kinds of terrible things and blah, blah, blah. And I've yet to hear anybody recently suggest maybe that the government committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, by invading Vietnam and Iraq and Iran. Afghanistan. There are still people that fought in that war crime and crime against humanity in Vietnam. They're still alive today. They're about my age. And they're like, I did my duty, I'm a veteran, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you freaking participated in a crime. And you obeyed unlawful orders and you're in the crime. So anyway, the point is, they're showing disrespect for the government. They're not showing disrespect for their country. And if you think they're being disrespectful to their country, then you should try to educate yourself a little bit and come to understand how it really is. I'm not suggesting that patriots should, how do I put it? I'm suggesting that we should use the right words to describe these things in order to keep things in some sort of clarity and show our education and our intelligence, our capacity to know stuff. All right? So that's my take on the American flag, which isn't, and for the Union flag, which is, and its origin was based on that Union, not upon the country. All right? So give that some thought and do some research if you want. Look it up. Look up the American flag and its origin. And, Betsy Ross may or may not have been the one that sewed the first flag of the Union. You might find some interesting details about that time and that event. Google it. Google the United States Union flag and whatever. Look up Betsy Ross and see what she did and whether she actually did participate in sewing the flag. All right, so that's it for item 1. All right, thanks a lot. D. McClung, Archer Monologues. I'll catch you next time.